I am Euclid, known to many as the father of geometry, though in truth, I was merely a seeker of knowledge, a humble servant of mathematics. I lived in the city of Alexandria, the greatest center of learning in my time, where the light of wisdom burned brightly, drawing scholars and thinkers from across the Mediterranean. My life was not one of fame or wealth, but one devoted to the study of that most pure and beautiful of human endeavors, mathematics. I do not know the exact year of my birth, for I left no records of such things. They say I was born around 300 BCE, in the time after the great conquest of Alexander the Great. My early life, like much of my personal history, is shrouded in mystery, for I valued the pursuit of knowledge over the details of my own existence. What mattered to me was not my name, my rank, or my background, but the work I did and the truths I uncovered. My true calling came when I arrived in Alexandria, that great city of learning, where the library and the museum stood as monuments to human intellect. There, under the reign of Ptolemy I, the city flourished as a center of scholarship, and I found myself surrounded by some of the greatest minds of the age. It was here that I truly began my life's work, teaching mathematics and philosophy, and compiling the knowledge of the ancients into a form that could be passed down to future generations. My most famous work, The Elements, is my enduring legacy. It is a compilation of all that was known about geometry in my time, but it was more than just a collection of knowledge. It was an attempt to systematize and organize mathematics in a way that had never been done before. My goal was to provide a foundation, a logical structure upon which all future mathematicians could build. The Elements consists of 13 books, each one meticulously crafted, laying out the principles of geometry, number theory, and even some early algebra. But let me take you back to how it all began. The idea for the Elements grew from my study of the works of those who had come before me. The ancient mathematicians, Thales, Pythagoras, Eudoxus, and others, had made great strides in understanding the nature of shapes, numbers, and the relationships between them. Yet their work was scattered, their methods inconsistent, and their discoveries often buried beneath layers of myth and confusion. I sought to bring clarity to their achievements, to extract the pure mathematical truths and present them in a way that would be both accessible and rigorous. I began with the most basic concepts, points, lines, and planes, things that anyone could understand, even without prior knowledge of mathematics. I defined these terms as clearly and simply as possible, laying out the fundamental principles of geometry in a series of definitions, postulates, and axioms. From these basic building blocks, I constructed a logical system, in which each theorem followed inevitably from the one before it, like a chain of reason stretching into infinity. One of my earliest and most important contributions was the notion of proof. I believe that mathematics should be built upon a foundation of absolute certainty, and that every statement, no matter how obvious it might seem, should be supported by a rigorous logical argument. In the Elements, each theorem is proved step by step, using only the definitions, postulates, and previously established theorems. In this way, I sought to create a system of knowledge that was unassailable, where every result was backed by unshakable logic. One of the most famous theorems in my work is what is now known as the Pythagorean theorem, though it was not my discovery. The relationship between the sides of a right triangle, that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides, was known long before my time. But what I did was to provide a clear, rigorous proof of this relationship, showing how it followed logically from the basic principles of geometry. This was my approach throughout the Elements, to take the discoveries of others and place them within a logical framework, so that their truth could be demonstrated beyond doubt. But my work was not limited to geometry. The later books of the Elements deal with number theory, a field of mathematics concerned with the properties and relationships of numbers. I explored the nature of prime numbers, those indivisible building blocks of all numbers, and I provided a proof of the fact that there are infinitely many primes. This discovery has fascinated mathematicians for centuries, and the study of prime numbers remains a central topic in number theory to this day. In my work, I also laid the foundations for the study of irrational numbers, numbers that cannot be expressed as simple fractions. The discovery of irrational numbers had been a source of great confusion and controversy among the ancient Greeks, for it seemed to contradict the idea that everything in the universe could be reduced to simple ratios. But I showed that these numbers, strange and unsettling as they might seem, were a natural part of the mathematical landscape, and that they could be understood and studied like any other numbers. Throughout my life, I remained devoted to teaching. I believed that knowledge was not something to be hoarded, but something to be shared freely with those who sought it. My students came from all walks of life. Some were young, eager to learn. Others were older, seeking to deepen their understanding of the world. I welcomed them all, for I believed that the pursuit of knowledge was the highest calling of humanity, and that anyone with a curious mind could partake in this pursuit. One story that has been told about me is that of Ptolemy, the king of Alexandria, who once asked me if there was a shorter way to learn geometry than to study the elements. I replied, "There is no royal road to geometry." What I meant by this was that there are no shortcuts to true understanding. Knowledge, especially mathematical knowledge, requires patience, discipline, and hard work. There are no easy answers, no simple paths to wisdom. One must be willing to put in the time and effort to learn, to struggle with difficult concepts, and to persist in the face of failure. In the years since my death, The Elements has become one of the most influential works in the history of mathematics. For over 2,000 years, it was the standard textbook for teaching geometry, used by scholars and students across the world. Its impact on mathematics, science, and philosophy cannot be overstated. The method of logical deduction that I employed in The Elements became the foundation for much of Western thought, influencing not only mathematicians, but also philosophers such as Descartes, Spinoza, and Kant. But my influence extends beyond the realm of pure mathematics. The principles of geometry that I laid out in The Elements have been applied to countless fields of study, from architecture and engineering to astronomy and physics. The study of geometry has helped humans to build structures that defy gravity, to navigate the seas and the stars, and to understand the fundamental nature of the universe. Even today, in the age of computers and quantum mechanics, the ideas I explored continue to resonate, shaping the way we think about space, time, and reality itself. Yet, for all the success of my work, I remained a humble man. I did not seek fame or fortune. I sought only to understand the world through the lens of mathematics. My greatest joy was not in the recognition I received, but in the beauty of the discoveries I made. For me, mathematics was not just a tool for solving problems. It was a window into the underlying order of the universe, a way of glimpsing the divine structure that lies behind the chaos of everyday life. In the end, my life was simple, but my work was profound. I devoted myself to the pursuit of knowledge, to the exploration of abstract truths, and to the sharing of that knowledge with others. I sought to build a foundation upon which future generations could stand, and in this, I believe I succeeded. The Elements remains a testament to the power of human reason, a reminder that through careful thought and logical deduction, we can uncover the deepest secrets of the universe. I am Euclid, and though I lived more than 2,000 years ago, my ideas continue to live on, inspiring mathematicians, scientists, and thinkers in their quest to understand the world. My work was not just a contribution to mathematics. It was a gift to all those who seek to know, to explore, and to discover. My life may have been brief, but my achievements will endure for as long as there are minds curious enough to ask the eternal question: what is truth? This is my story, told not in the details of my life, but in the ideas I cherished. Though my name is known, it is the knowledge I pursued that matters most. The pursuit of truth through reason, and the belief that mathematics is the language of the universe, a language that reveals the hidden beauty and harmony of existence.